Today we will understand a new thing that with the help of dimensional formula we can derive the equation for the given quantity. Like suppose I want to derive the equation for periodic time of simple pendulum. So I want to get the equation for the periodic time of simple pendulum, and for that what I have to do, so I want to derive equation of periodic time of simple pendulum from given that t t depends upon the length of the pendulum, it depends upon gravitational acceleration, it depends upon theta, that is angle. Now from given information, and yes, on mass of bob, so now here we are provided that periodic time t depends upon these four quantities, say length L, gravitational acceleration g, angle theta, and mass of given bob m. Now we have to derive the equation of periodic time t from the given information. So first of all, what we will do here in this type of case, we are taking few steps. There is one trick that how we can perform this example. So to perform this example, we can do like this, that first of all we will take t in directly proportional to the length, then gravitational acceleration g, then theta and m. Now we do not know exactly that how they depend upon each other. So for that what we will do, we will take a small a in a power of a, then b in a power of g, then c in a power of theta, and small d in a power of m. Now we will find the value of a, b, c and d. So first of all we will find the value of a, b, c, d. How to find out these values? It is also very interesting that to know this equation, to derive this equation, we must know the dimensional formulas of left hand side and right hand side. Now we have to derive one equation. So at that time we have to remove this proportionality sign, and we can put this equation in a form of t is equals to, so let me write in that manner, t is equals to, say one constant k is there, then I will write L to the power a, then I will take g to the power b, theta to the power c and mass to the power d. Now what we will do, we will note down the dimension formula of each term, and then we will compare the power of left hand side to the right hand side with their dimensions. Say mass has dimension m, so whatever the power of mass in left hand side, that will be compared with the power of mass in right hand side. Suppose length, then length in right hand side, time in left hand side, time term in right hand side, and then on the basis of that we can get the value of a, b, c and d. Here we have value for left hand side. We can say that LHS, what we can say that it is t. T has a dimension of time only, so it is m0, L0 and T0. So now it is very clear that mass has 0 power in left hand side, length has a 0 power in left hand side, and time has a power 1 because we are going to derive it. So m0, L0 and t to the power 1. Now for RHS, what we can write, we can similarly compare them in this manner, that for RHS, say length has a power a, but it is clear that length has a dimension of length only and it has power a, so it will be L to the power a. Now G is gravitational acceleration. It has power b as per his equation. Its dimensional formula is L1 t minus 2 and to the power b. So we can simplify it and write out L to the power b t to the power minus 2b. Just write down this. So this is the manner how it is written. Now theta is dimensionless, that is angle, so it has no dimension. It is m0, L0 and T0, and at last it is mass. Mass has a dimension of m, so it is written as m to the power 1 and with power d, so we can put it as md. Now these are the basic information that we have from the equation. Now what we will do, now we will continue it with the term that we compare it with the equation, that is t is equals to k. Again I will put it as length to the power a, g to the power b, theta to the power c and mass to the power d. When we put this, we will apply now as per as our acquired information. हमने जो जो derive किया है हम उसके regarding value निकालेंगे. So here I can say m0, L0, T1, k is already constant, so we will keep it as it is. Now L to the power a is nothing but LA. Now G to the power b is now as a dimension, it is LB T minus 2b. minus 2b. Then theta has a no dimension, it is no need to write down it, and mass, that is m to the power d. Now what we will do, we will compare them. First we will write in a manner in which we can say that first k as it is. Now I will write m to the power d. Then L a plus b, because when the base are same, powers addition is there, and t minus 2b. Now it is compared with left hand side, so from comparison we can write d to be 0, so mass has 0 dimension over here. Then a plus b is equals to 0, so we can say that therefore a is equals to minus b. So whatever value of a, it is negative of b, or whatever the b, it is negative of a, opposite of a. And the term for the time, it is minus 2b is equals to 1, and therefore here we can say that b is equals to 1 by 2, so it will be the value b is equals to 1 by 2, and therefore we can say that a is equals to minus of b, that is minus 1 by 2. So here this is the term that we can put. Now we compare and we apply it to that our given equation. So this is our actual given equation in which we will apply and return the term. So we can say that t is equals to, so from this we will have a new step, t is equals to k, then L to the power a, so L to the power a is a minus 1 by 2, a is equals to, here we have to check whether there is any mistake in the equation. Sorry, here b is minus 1 by 2, so a is plus 1 by 2, so L here it will be plus 1 by 2. Then there is a term g has a power b, b is a minus 1 by 2, and all other terms are not represented because c and d are 0. So here we have equation for periodic time is like this. So if we take k to be a constant, that k is equals to 2 pi as a one constant, we can have the equation of periodic time for simple pendulum is equals to 2 pi. Now 1/2 power means square root, and this g raised to minus 1/2 means it is in a denominator, so it can be written as L over g. So this is the method through which, by using dimensional formula, we can derive the equation of given quantity. Accuracy, precision, and error. See, all the three terms are interrelated to each other. Here first two terms are with instrument. So instrument has accuracy, instrument has a precision, but it only comes when we measure something, and when we are measuring any quantity, then the picture of error comes into the mind. So here, what is the basic difference between accuracy, precision and error? First of all, we will try to understand a thing, that suppose there is one place where the actual time is say 10 o'clock. So we consider that some place is there where the actual time is 10 o'clock. So we can show it in this manner. This is say actual time is 10 o'clock. Okay, see, suppose we consider that the actual time is 10 o'clock. Now we have two different clocks. One clock is a digital clock which shows the time 09:45 minutes and 23 seconds at a particular instant, while I have another simple clock or a wrist watch in the same manner, which shows the timing as 9:55. Now here the term that accuracy and precision matters. What is the meaning of accuracy? So the accuracy of a measurement is measure of how close the measured value is to the true value of the quantity. That means the actual time is, this is actual time. So actual time is 10 o'clock. So in these two clock, this is near to the actual value. So this is accurate, but this clock gives more information of the time. Like in this clock we do not have information about seconds, but this clock gives us the information of hour, minute and second. So it is more precise. So it is very clear that this clock is accurate but less precise, while this clock is more precise but less accurate. So it is very clear that we want to measure time. Time is our quantity. To measure time we need instrument. Say clock is instrument to measure time. Now when I measure it with two different clock with their different parameters, one clock shows the time 9:55 and another clock shows the time 9 hours 45 minutes and 23 seconds. So here, which one is near the actual value? Clearly that this 9:55 timing is near the actual value and therefore it is accurate, while this clock gives us the information in, we say, more precise. So it provides us the precise value, and therefore it has more precision, but this clock is more accurate. So here we have more accuracy with this red color, while we have more precision with this yellow color. So here it is clear that this red one is more accurate but less precise, while this yellow one is more precise but less accurate in this case, because the value which is near the actual value of measurement it called accurate, while the value which provide more precise value, that means the precision tells us that up to what resolution or up to what limit the quantity is measured. So here in this case the quantity is measured in second also, which was not available over here. Here second information is not there, here only hour and minute, but here hour, minute and second. So this is more precise because it is have more limit, more accurate, and here it is more accuracy. So this clock is, that means red clock is more accurate but less precise, while yellow clock is more precise but less accurate, and accuracy and precision are instrumental. So instrument has more accuracy, instrument has more precision. Now the new term, that is our basic, that is error. So now we will understand that what is error. So error comes in the measurement. So another thing that we will deal now, that what is error, that we will write here. So error means say what is error actually. So we say that measurement is a foundation of all experimental science and technology. It is clear that without measuring we cannot have proper information about given quantity. So measurement is the foundation of all experimental science and technology, and the result of every measurement by any measuring instrument contains some uncertainty. So uncertainty in measurement is called error. So uncertainty in measurement, so is called error. So there are basically two types of error. So basic errors has two types, but actually when we are calculating we have total three types of error. So the types are like, say, systematic error, it is systematic error, then I can say that least count error, And third part, that is again a random error. So the third error is a random error. Now we will understand that how systematic error, random error and least count error can be calculated and when they occur. So first of all, for systematic error we can say that these type of errors are the errors that tend to be in one direction. That means it can be either in one direction only. So one direction means what? First of all we have to understand it that this is normally tending into one direction. So one directional now one direction means what? That we can predict it. It can be either positive or it can be either negative, but it is fixed that if it is positive then it is positive only, and if it is negative it is negative only. While in this random type of error no prediction is possible, so unpredictable. Unpredictable error is random error. Now this error occurs randomly, that we cannot predict it. That is random fluctuation. We can say that random fluctuation in temperature, or if we are taking any electricity experiment then voltage. So random fluctuation in say temperature, voltage or some vibrations due to experiment setup. So due to some experimental setup, if there is a vibration in it, all these are unpredictable errors and they are called random errors. So actually systematic error we can predict, so they are predictable. We can say unanimously that they are predictable, so it is predictable. While a random error is unpredictable. There are basically three types of systematic error. So we have three type of systematic error. One, it is called instrumental error. Instrumental error. So if there is any defect in instrument for zero error, so we can say that defect in zero error, we can say that it is instrumental defect. Sometimes some thermometer shows boiling point of water as a 104 degrees Celsius as given in textbook, but we know that actual temperature of water at which it boils 800 degrees Celsius, but some instrument shows it as suppose 103 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Celsius, then this is instrumental error. So this is due to instrumental defect, we say that it is instrumental error. Sometimes it happens due to imperfection in experimental technique. sometimes it occurs due to imperfection method that we use. So imperfect method, when we are using imperfect technique that we are using, or we are following wrong procedure, then whatever error will occur, that is called that systematic error. Like suppose for a human body, if we want to measure the temperature, if we put thermometer at different places, say under the armpit, it will always give a temperature lower than that actual value of the body temperature. In the same manner, for other external conditions such as changes in temperature, humidity, wind velocity, etc., also applicable to it. And if we are performing any experiment, during that experiment some systematic error occurs due to some wrong procedure opted for the calculation, so that is called imperfect method that we opt. And the third one, that third type of systematic error is personal error. So personal error is which type of error? That is, suppose an error occurs or arises due to an individual bias or a lack of proper setting of an apparatus, or individual's carelessness in taking observations without observing proper precautions. Like if someone has habit that it always hold his head a bit too far to the right while reading the position of a needle on the scale, then that type of error due to parallax come into the picture. So these are some method and the error which are called systematic errors. So these are called systematic errors. Now we will check random error. So what is random error again? I will say and explain in a short. So we can say the random errors are those errors which occur irregularly. So these errors are irregular then they are random with respect to sign and size. So random error are not having exact fixed sign or size, and it arises due to random and unpredictable fluctuations in experimental conditions. So totally unpredictable fluctuations, you can say that these fluctuations are totally there. So totally unpredictable fluctuations are there in experiment, and therefore this type of errors occurs. So we can say that, for example, as it is given in your textbook, that for example when the same person repeats the same observation, it is very likely that he may get different reading every time, and that is called random error. So this is the type of another error. And the third error, that we are dealing, that is we know is a least count error. So what is this least count error? Least count error, this is again an instrument based error, that the smallest value that can be measured by the measuring instrument is called its least count. So what is actually least count? So the minimum value or the smallest value an instrument can measure. The smallest value of an instrument can measure is called least count. And due to instrument, different instrument has different least count capacity. So say normal scale with a centimeter or millimeter scale can measure up to 1 millimeter. So normal scale, as we are using in a routine day by day use, has a least count of 1 millimeter. It can go up to 1 millimeter length, while vernier calipers has least count of 0.01 centimeter. Here normal scale has 0.1 centimeter least count, while vernier caliper has 0.01 centimeter, or spherometer has 0.001 centimeter as its least count. So different instrument has different least count, and on the basis of that the error occur into the measurement is called least count error. So this is another type of error. We can also minimize the least count error. For that we can use the instrument with higher precision. So by using instruments with higher precision, we can minimize the least count error. Also, with the improving experimental techniques, and repeating the observation several times. So we can say that by repeating the observations several times, we can minimize the least count measure. So we can minimize the least count error. Now in the process of minimize the least count error, we will consider the part of it as an absolute error, absolute error, that is then we can say the relative error, and the percentage error. So first of all we will try to understand that how absolute error are measured. But before measuring absolute error, we will find another interesting term that is called, exactly it is called as a true value. So what is the meaning of true value? How we get this true value? So in general, if we are not having any method of knowing true value, we considered arithmetic mean as a true value. So actually arithmetic mean of given different readings is called true value. So this is the first thing. Now we will learn how we can use the method of arithmetic mean to find out absolute error, relative error and percentage error. So suppose first of all we want to derive absolute error. So for absolute error, what we will do, what will be the steps? See, first of all, suppose I obtain some values, say a1, a2, a3 up to an. That means n results or n measurements I took, I obtained, and I want their mean value. So that mean value will be called as a true value. So how we can get a mean? That means our true value is, that is the sum of all measurement a1 plus a2 plus up to plus an, and divided by total number of measurements, that is n. So this average value or the mean value is considered as our true value. So in short, a mean can be obtained in this manner. We can put it in a term of sigma. Here I can say that from I is equals to 1 to I equals to n, where I have A of I over n. So this is my true value of practical. So I will consider it as a true value. Now, as I have considered it as a true value, I will keep into my result. This is my true value or the arithmetic mean, which I will use in future for my result purpose. Now I want to derive absolute error. So for absolute error, how can I get that absolute error term? So actually, what is absolute error? So the magnitude of the difference between the true value of the quantity and the individual measurement value is called the absolute error of the measurement, and it is denoted by mode of delta A. So here I can explain that absolute error is denoted by mode of delta A. Here what is delta A? So delta A is actually that delta A, we are generally taking mode because it is always positive. So it is mean value, that is true value, minus the individual value that we are taking in our experiment. Here we can say that I is from 1 to n, as we are taking different steps. So the magnitude of the difference, this is the magnitude. So the magnitude of the difference between true value and the true value of the quantity and the individual measurement value means I have taken A1, A2, A3 up to An. They are my measurement value. So I can replace them as A1, A2, A3 up to, and that difference magnitude is called absolute error. So absolute error can be calculated. It is always positive, and for the given case, for up to, we can say that for the nth term. So let us say for first term, I would like to say it as a delta A1. It will be say A mean minus A1, but I will take always the magnitude. Similarly for A2, I will take is as A mean minus A2, and up to that I can take values up to delta An, that is A mean minus An. So when I take all these values, what should be the next step? That means I have mode of A1, mode of A2. So here I will take mode. Here this should be mode. This should be mode. Here this should be mode. That all values must be in a magnitude. Now what will be the next step? Here we have already taken one mean value. Now we will take difference of this mean value. That means our next step is what? So for the next step, what we will do, we will take the arithmetic mean of all these above absolute errors is taken as the final or mean absolute error of the value of the physical quantity such as a over here. यहाँ पर हमने a वैल्यू एक लिया है और a वैल्यू के अलग अलग रिजल्ट निकाले हैं, अलग अलग मेजरमेंट निकाले हैं जो कि a1, a2, a3 अप टू an आए हैं. So for the same value what we will take, we will take डेल्टा ए ऑफ मीन. जैसे हमने सबसे पहले ए ऑफ मीन निकाला, ऐसे ही अब हम डेल्टा ए ऑफ मीन वैल्यू निकालेंगे. सो इट इज़ क्लियर दैट व्हाट विल बी दिस डेल्टा ए ऑफ मीन. सो दिस डेल्टा ए ऑफ मीन विल बी very clearly I can say delta mod of a1 plus mod of delta a2 plus up to plus mod of delta an and upon the total number of measurement, that is n. It can also be written in a short form, that is sigma of I is from 1 to n. I can put it as mod of delta ai over n. So this is called delta a mean. Now this would be again my another result. First I have obtained a mean, then I am obtaining delta a mean. See, this is nothing but my new result, that is delta a mean. So all this result that I am obtaining is nothing but mean of the given quantities. So first I have n measurements, I am taking their mean. Then what I do, I take the difference and the magnitude of it, and then again I am taking the mean of these values, that is absolute error. Now, so after doing this, what will be the next part? Here it is clear. In the next part we can simply conclude that the overall value, that if we do a single measurement, the value we get may be in the range that is always a mean to plus or minus delta a mean. So this value is actually called the original value of our calculation, and here our actual a lies between these two values. That means normally a lies between a mean minus delta of a mean. Now this value is normally less than or equals to a, but this a is also normally less than or equals to that a mean plus delta a mean. So this is the range of our value, and this implies that any measurement of the physical quantity a is likely to be lie between a mean plus delta a mean and a mean minus delta a mean. So this is called the calculation for absolute error. Now, now the next part is percentage error. Sorry, relative error. So now we will take another term, that is relative error. This is not a new or any difficult term. It is very simple term, that is called relative error. So what is this relative error? Simply, if we are taking ratio, that is, instead of absolute error, if we often use the relative error or the percentage error, how to define it? So the relative error is the ratio of mean absolute error, that is delta A mean, to the mean value of A, that is A mean, that is measured value. So relative error, that is given by that simple term. It has nothing to do a special, but we can simply define it as a ratio of delta A mean. So this is delta A mean to A mean. So this ratio is called relative error. So it is also represented as delta or delta A, which is called relative error. And now if this is multiplied with 100%, it is called percentage error. So percentage error is nothing but delta A into 100 percentage. So if relative error or a fractional error is multiplied by 100%, it is called percentage error. So it can be represented as that delta A. So actually relative error has a no specific symbol, it is just the ratio, but this percentage error is actually the relative error and into 100. So it is a relative error into 100 is called percentage error. So it is indicated by delta A. Here we know that what is relative error. So relative error into 100 percentage is called percentage error. Here we define relative error, that is delta A mean upon A mean into 100 percentage. So this is called percentage error. Here we have the term, this is percentage error, is defined here. We have defined it as a delta A. So overall there are three type of different errors which are used to minimize the overall error part in the given question, and we can calculate them in different manner. So first is absolute error. So in general, what is absolute error? We know by the mathematical formula that the magnitude of the difference between the true value of the quantity and the individual measurement value, that is your absolute error. Then delta A mean upon A mean is called relative error, and then that percentage error, that is relative error, into 100% in our equation. So these are the types of error that are called absolute error, relative error, and percentage error.